Insurance isn't one size fits all, and shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy, or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life, on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode sponsored by IPVanish. IPVanish protects every device you own. Your phone, your laptop, your smart TV. If it connects to the internet, it should be protected. IPVanish encrypts your connection and masks your IP address, helping keep your browsing private at home and on public Wi-Fi. Stream with added privacy. Browse securely. Connect with confidence. Right now, save 83% off the 2-year plan. Get started today at ipvanish.com/audio and take control of your privacy with IPVanish.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a real-life medium? Then this is the podcast for you. In this show, you'll learn how to open your heart to spirit, hear adventures I've experienced as an award-winning psychic medium and teacher. Plus, I'm going to give you some psychic information and insight into what the future holds for our increasingly crazy world. Tune in every Friday and get ready to connect to the other side. I'm Jen, and I'll be your guide starting right now. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Look at me, I'm being on the weekly cycle. Here comes another episode for you. And first, I want to say, as always, first and foremost, thank you so much for listening and coming back to the podcast every week. It really means a lot to me. Without you guys, this podcast would not exist. Well, it would, but there would be no one listening to it. So I really want to say thank you so much for everything that you guys done for me over the last year, for your support, for your messages, for your trust in me, for working with me, for following me, for laughing along with me, for maybe crying along with me. You know, I'm very grateful for all of that. And I think it's really important that we're always trying to chug ahead, right? I'm like this train, chug, chug, chug. Let's just go faster, faster, forward. But I really feel like, I don't know if it's the current energy or what's happening, but I feel like I need to sort of reevaluate and rejuvenate. And it's probably because it's almost Mercury retrograde. I don't know. So if you think Mercury retrograde is a little bit out there, and if you're listening to this podcast, I don't think you do. I don't think you think that, or you wouldn't be listening to my podcast, because it is the topics covered. The topics covered here are kind of quote unquote what people would deem to be out there, which I believe are in there. Not out there, they're in there. And if you think that is weird, if you think I'm weird, this will be right along the lines of what you expect from the Singing Medium podcast, what you expect from me. And before I tell you this interesting weirdo story and kind of like a manifestation / strange experience that I had in the coming months, so in 2024, I hope to have more guests. That is my goal, to have more guests on the podcast. I was sort of more in that zone a little maybe for the earlier of the year, and life happens. So I'm hoping that in 2024 we will have more guests on the podcast for you to listen to. And I want to, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to share other people's work. I want to introduce you to people that you might not have heard of, or maybe didn't consider getting a reading from, and my students and whoever. So here we go. Here is a very interesting story that I have for you. And if you are reading the title of this episode, you kind of already have an idea of what the dealio is today in this episode of the Singing Medium podcast. So it's kind of I don't know how I'm trying to get my thoughts situated in my brain, which is not an easy task for me to do. And I almost just start explaining why. I don't even know why. I have no idea why. I kind of manifested this. The second part of this statement would be that when you are asking, and you've heard me say this a million times, and if you have my book, Unearth Your Intuition, go get it on Amazon. You've heard me say when you ask the universe for something that you're wanting to create for your life, whatever your why is, you must be very specific in your asking. Okay? So you've heard me talk about before, one of my goals that sort of comes in and goes out and comes in and goes out is I would love, so I'm making my statement to the universe right now, I would love so much to, I'm being very specific here, okay? Because before it was very general. I would love to create my very own successful, syndicated cable network or streaming platform television show that is where I do readings for people and I showcase the truth about mediumship and how important it is that we connect our loved ones in spirit to this plane in the midst of our grief. And I would like to get paid for this. And has to be in Canada. And I think that's all I need. So that was my statement. Because what I've done in the past before is like, can I please be on TV? Hi, universe, can I please be on TV? Because I want to reach more people. You know, I feel like I'm in this box where I'm limited to a certain number of people that I can help, and I would love to expand that. And so that is my why. And I also want people to know I want to make it like not weird to normal. That's kind of my purpose, I feel like, here. So in the past, when I've asked for, can I please be on TV? I got a commercial, which was awesome. And also, technically, I was on TV, right? So that is a really cool goal to have for myself. And maybe you also are Leo rising and you would like to be out there and have people notice you and how you help other people at the same time. And you can't get out there if you don't have an outlet, right? And media is an outlet to get out there into the world and have people understand what you do and how you do it and how you're unique to everyone else and helping people and all that wonderful stuff. So that was my statement, very specific. Okay. So just if you're trying to manifest something, be very, very down to the exact detail, right? If you remember in my book, I don't remember what chapter it is, but if you go in and say you have to ask, it's like the universe is like Amazon. And when you go to Amazon, you can't just say, I want some shoes. You're going to get like clogs or Crocs. So you have to specify the shape, the size, the style, the price, color, boots, shoes. The universe doesn't know. Amazon doesn't know until you tell it what you need and you put it plainly in sight, in writing, literally, to get the shoes that you want, right? So it's the same as when you're asking for something for universe. So I've always been asking, can I please be on TV? I really want to be on TV and get this word out. So I haven't told anyone this because I wasn't sure how it was going to go, if it was going to go. So my story begins. I'm going to tell you about a Sasquatch. I'm just going to let you have a minute there for a second. Sasquatch. Think Sasquatch, think Bigfoot. So back in, and this can be weird, you guys, because I talk to aliens, I did paranormal ghost hunting, I've seen demons, I've seen it all. So don't get on me about the Sasquatch thing. Don't get on me about that. Okay. Back in April, I got this quote unquote random email came to me from a producer and said, hey Jen, I don't remember the exact wording, but we're shooting an episode of Sasquatch University and we are hoping that we could utilize your psychic abilities to help us. And if you wanted to be a guest on the show, we would love to have you and all that good stuff. This happened in April, and this happened to just the date that for filming happened to be on Easter. And this was a big hell yes for me. This was like my arm hair stood up. I was dancing around like, oh my God, it's working. My appreciation is working. My vibration is sending out all these things that I want. And they're coming to me without me having to do anything. And of course, I fell on Easter, which is we just booked a cottage near my parents' house to have a big Easter dinner. So I had to turn them down. I was really bummed about it. And then, of course, my kids are like, Sasquatch. You want to talk to Bigfoot? That is nerdy, right? So they gave me a hard time. I'm like, whatever, it's cool. I want to be on TV. It's something different I've never done before. So I just let it go, whatever.
And then I would say about a month ago, I got another email from same producer and asked me, hey, wanted to give another shot, see if you're free. We're going to go in the woods here. We're going to try to find a Sasquatch. And I'm like, okay, Sasquatch, okay. Probably picking up my kids' doubt in me. And there's a reason why I'm playing up the weird Sasquatch thing, just so you know. Or the validity, questioning the validity of said TV show and what they're all about. And so anyways, I as soon as I got the email, and I'm like, I bet you any money, I'm so psychic, I bet you any money the film date is November 23rd, which is my birthday. So I'm like, yeah, okay, hey, cool, what's the date? And they're like, November 23rd. I'm like, I knew it. I knew you were going to do this on my birthday. So I'm like, I have all these thoughts. I'm like, okay, I'll just not go for dinner on my birthday. I'll like do our birthday dinner the next day. I really want to do this. And then he came back and said, no, don't worry about your birthday. I'm like, okay, well, maybe in season 2 you can come. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give up. Okay, I give up. I'm just letting it happen. So then I woke up a few days later and I'm like, they're going to change the date. I just had a knowing. And so that day I got an email and he's like, producer's like, okay, we're changing the date. Are you free on this day? I'm like, yes, I am. Because I had actually got sick on my birthday. Remember, I was sick for my whole birthday week. And then this happened to be when I was better. Dun, dun, dun. See that? Okay. So we planned to meet at a certain spot. He wanted me to pick the spot. So I was going through all the maps around here, Durham County, which is kind of where I live, and looking for some forested area. But so going into this, I didn't do a lot of research because I don't have any experience with a Bigfoot. I don't have any experience with, I have, like I said, demons, check. Ghosts, check. Aliens, check, right? Orbs, check. Dead people, check, right? I have all these. So my mind is kind of like trying to wrap my head around a Sasquatch. You know, you're kind of like, if you think about like this big hairy dude. So I went into it with a very open mind because I'm like, well, logically, if all these other things I have experience with, why would not this also be valid? A valid concept, a valid idea, a valid energy. Why not? So I didn't hardly did any research because I didn't want to know too much going in there. So if you want to know, I did not bring my glasses, but I'm going to try to give a little bit of a blurb around a Sasquatch. Okay, so as you know, it's like otherwise known as Bigfoot. And what I didn't know, it has indigenous roots to it. And I'm like, okay, that is cool. It's like folklore, mythology, but it has indigenous roots to it. And that I love very much about this. And I did not know. And I also had a knowing going in there of British Columbia. So I feel like maybe this energy would exist more in British Columbia. I don't know why that is. So I'm like, we're just going to give it a go. Okay, so let me see if I can show you. And by the way, this television show is a bunch of university students who they have like their whole organization around Sasquatch. They have like a whole organization around it. They have experts come in, like there's like YouTube videos. So if you Google Sasquatch University and you go, there's some YouTube videos that you can watch of Ryan's getting interviewed with some experts who actually kind of know what they're talking about with this kind of thing. So the Sasquatch is rooted in spirituality and symbolism rather than sensationalism. The creature is considered sacred to West Coast First Nations, particularly Stahelis, who have lived in the Harrison River Valley for at least 10,000 years. So in this area, Harrison Hot Springs opened a Sasquatch museum inside its visitor center in 2017 and worked with the members of the indigenous community. And they made a replica wood mask of the Sasquatch. This is very interesting to me. They have casts of Sasquatch footprints, news clippings about sightings that date to 1884, and a logbook of reported local encounters. So they have like 20,000 people visit this museum. And actually, it's government granted. The government has given them millions of dollars to do this. So you can't be like, okay, Sasquatches aren't real. Because if aliens exist, then logically, I guess spiritually, logically, energetically, a Sasquatch would also have to exist, right? So there are actually other TV shows, Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, like when they tried to find it, right? okay, this is so interesting. The pursuit of the creature. So there's stories and songs. Wow, this is so cool. I should have probably read this before, but basically it's a hairy man, they say. The Sasquatch gather in this certain place. This is interesting. I really should have done research. Okay. So anyways, this is a little I know. And this is my, I'll put a link to an article that you can go read on your own, decide for yourself. Because I'm not the kind of person who's like, I need to prove this to you at all. Not in the least. I just sort of want to share my very cool experience going in as never thought I would say this, a skeptic. Me, a skeptic. I like, okay, come on. So anyways, we get there. We go to this parking lot. It's a really sketchy parking lot in the middle of nowhere. And like Ryan, the producer, is just sitting in his car. And I'm like, I'm alone with this dude in this parking lot. Like, it's nighttime, it's dark. I'm like, okay. And then 3 other dudes get out of another car on the count. I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. You know, me and my creative imagination. And so they're like, okay, well, we're going to do a interview, like a pre-interview, and ask you some questions. And I'm like, all right. So they get their little camera out. We do the interview, which, by the way, this will be aired hopefully soon. WildTV, you do have to have subscription, but you can get like 7 days for free. So if you can like just watch my video, watch my episode, and maybe a couple others in there, you should be good to go. Okay? I'll let you know when it comes out. I don't know when it will be coming out. So I get there. We're like, okay, here's the interview. And then Ryan's like, okay, so I'm going to ask you some psychic questions. Can you read that guy? Can you read the cameraman? Can you read the light guy, the sound guy? Can you read him? So there was one member of the team there that I could not read just because of he was a skeptic. And I sometimes, what's a blocked off energy, it's hard for me to pick up anything from someone who's a skeptic. If you're a practicing psychic or medium, you know that. And so then he's tricking me with all these questions, like, how many fingers am I holding up? I'm like, oh my God. So he has his fingers behind his back to the camera, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm not gonna get that. I'm like, it's like 2 or 4. He's like, which one? I'm like, 4. He's like, oh my God, you're right. And anyways, so asking me all these questions about sort of how I got involved in my psychic gifts and being out there in the public eye kind of thing of what I do. And then we proceeded to go for a very long hike in the woods. Now, yes, it's very dark out, and we weren't very, like, my whole feeling the whole time was like, if you're gonna find any kind of energy, you'd have to be deeper in the forest. So like we had to go away from the trail. I'm like, this thing's, if you're going to find something, you're not going to find it here. It has to be very deep in the forest. And there actually have been sightings, I believe, around Durham County. So I'm like, okay, let's go for it and see what comes up. So we go walk for a while, and then all of a sudden we get to this one tree, and I'm leading the way in the dark in the forest. Of course I am. This is the last person who wants to lead 4 dudes in the forest by herself in the dark looking for a Sasquatch. So I get to this one tree, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this tree has some very cool energy. So when I tapped into the energy around the tree, it felt like there was some kind of vortex. And before we had started, I said, I feel like if Sasquatch is real, if you're going to ever find him, it would be more of something from a different dimension that would be very close to our dimension, right? It would be something that you probably wouldn't see maybe necessarily. It would come maybe through a portal or some kind of energy center. So we get to the vortex, and I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, hey guys, just do this experiment. So we did the sway test, where if you lean forward, you stand in the area with your eyes closed, and you ask a question in your head. If the answer is yes, your body will move forward. And if it's no, your body will move backwards. So I taught them how to do the sway test. And I'm like, okay, go stand in here. And Ryan's like, whoa. So the question we asked was like, is there a Sasquatch around? And we both got the answer yes. And then we tested the other guys. We're like, okay, don't tell them the answer. But if they go forward, that means there's a Sasquatch. If they go backwards, that means they're not. Anyways, they all got the answer that there was something in the forest for sure. So that was really cool because they didn't know, right? So I'm like, okay. So then they do this thing called a stick test, or they bang the tree with a stick to get the attention of the Sasquatch. And I'm like, as we're walking, I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure if it's like aliens or spirit, it would be telepathic communication. So you're not gonna hear the Bigfoot go, like you might. I don't know. I never did this before. I don't know. I don't know. So I go in there and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's telepathic. So if we just ask in our head, can you make a sound that would not be recognizable as a normal sound you might hear in the forest when no one's moving around in the dark. And so they started banging the tree, and I can't remember if something happened then, but we all stood there and asked the Sasquatch to make a sound, and we had like 5 different sounds that were not conducive to a normal wooded sound, if that makes sense. It was like something that you would have to be like, what was that? I'm like, we're all like, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Like, I'm great for TV, man. I can be like super silly and dramatic, and like, I was made for this, man. So I'm super pumped to watch this episode. And anyway, so we carry on, and then we go to this another place, and I had these visions on the drive there of an arc. So this piece of wood, this tree would have been arced over. Then I saw a structure made of wood, like made of the trees that someone would have made a structure of. And so every time we kept walking further and further down into this wooded area, we began to see these things that I had seen. So I'm like, okay, we're on the right track. So we came to another tree that had an even bigger vortex energy, and it was like even stronger than the first one. And you know, really cool things were happening there. And I'm like, okay, we really need, and then so I don't know, like it was just a blur, and it was so much fun. And after that, as soon as we left that second area, I'm like, I don't pick up anything else. It was like a wild goose chase after that. There was no more energy. There's no more vortexes. There was no more pulls. There was no more, I'm like, we're just walking around in circles. Like, how do we get out of this forest? And so like, it was super weird how the energy was so strong the first like half an hour. And then after that, it was nothing. So we did more tests to try to we did hear a couple more sounds after that, but nothing that would be like, hey, there's a Sasquatch in here. And I wasn't saying this from a skeptic. It was more of an energy. I'm like, I don't think it's in here, guys. Like, I don't want to burst your Sasquatch bubble, but I don't feel like using my abilities, what I know. So telepathy, feeling energy, reading energy, following energy, you know, like go over here. My visions, nothing. I did not see anything that would indicate that in this particular area there would. I'm like, hey, you guys want to go to BC? Because I feel like that's where the Sasquatch might be. So we walked around a little bit more. And then at the end of this experience, we did sort of like a closing or a post interview. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, so much fun. And I'm going to have the guys on the podcast hopefully soon, so you guys can meet Ryan and all his crew there. And there are a bunch of young guys from university. I think it's Peterborough, the area that they're from. But yeah, I'm super excited to be on TV, even if it's like a small channel that not many people are subscribed to or watch. But I'm hoping you guys are going to watch this episode. I'll definitely let you know when it comes out, and you can decide for yourself what you believe, if there's a Sasquatch or not. What do you think? Sasquatch, yay or nay? I can't hear you right now. But when the episode comes out, I will do a post on my Instagram stories and the Singing Medium Instagram page, and I will do a little thing. Do you believe in Sasquatches or not? Right? I can see people who would be like, okay, really? But once I read part of this article without my reading glasses on, that there's like, it's indigenous roots, that convinced me even more. Like, aliens don't really have forgive me if I'm incorrect, that aliens have indigenous roots to them. I feel more like the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot feels more tangible to me when it has that attachment to it or that sacred connection to it. So I got to do some more research, you guys, before this episode comes out. And it would be the last one of season 1 on WildTV, Sasquatch University. I'm so excited for this to come out. And so if you are trying to manifest something, remember you have to be very specific. Very specific, okay? And I hope that you are still listening, because I forgot to tell you at the beginning, I'm going to tell you something very exciting. So, as you know, I have winter classes. So right now they are 25% off, and they're like half full, I believe. So that's exciting. I'm excited for winter classes. So get on your winter classes if that's something that calls to you. But if you sign up for private mentorship one-on-one with me in January 2024, I'm going to throw in a bonus of you will get a free 1-hour reading with me as a thank you for trusting me to work with you and help you develop your gifts. So you need any information from that, you can email me, info@elevatehersoul.com. Thank you so much for listening. I'm excited for 2024. It's not 2024 yet, but we're going to see what's coming. Something's coming. I don't know what it is, but we're going to get through it. We're going to thrive, and we're going to change things up. We're going to expand. We're going to manifest. It's going to be awesome. So I'll see you guys next time on the Singing Medium podcast.
This episode sponsored by IPVanish. IPVanish protects every device you own. Your phone, your laptop, your smart TV. If it connects to the internet, it should be protected. IPVanish encrypts your connection and masks your IP address, helping keep your browsing private at home and on public Wi-Fi. Stream with added privacy, browse securely, connect with confidence. Right now, save 83% off the 2-year plan. Get started today at ipvanish.com/audio and take control of your privacy with IPVanish.
Be adventurous in the sun. Be protected in the sun. Be confident in the sun. Be fearless in the sun with Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen. As experts in mineral sunscreens for nearly 30 years, we've earned awards for our high-quality products and the trust of healthcare professionals. Embrace every moment in the sun with your family and Blue Lizard by your side. Be fearless in the sun. Shop Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen now on Amazon.com.